me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a home decor store, looked at a piece of wall art and thought, why is this so expensive? I feel like I could make that. Well, today we're putting that theory to the test because I'm going to show you 5 DIY wall art ideas that look like they came straight from a designer store, but they start with things like thrift store frames, fabric remnants, and even a wallpaper sample. And the best part is, these projects don't take much time, effort, or artistic skill at all. In fact, some of them came together in just a matter of a few minutes, but they completely transformed the look of the space. So if you love the idea of high-end looking decor that's easy to create yourself, you're gonna love these ideas. But before we jump in, a quick thank you to Biologica for partnering with me on today's episode. I'll share more about them a little later in the video, but for now, let's start creating some beautiful wall art that will make your home look like a designer home. Let's get started. So the first project actually started with this large thrift store frame that I gave a makeover in a previous episode. For that episode, I just printed a last-minute piece of art at Walgreens to fill the frame, but every time I looked at it, I thought, this frame deserves something better. And before we get to the better, I want to take a quick look back at what we did to the frame. This picture frame is a behemoth. I love the shape of the frame. It's spectacular. It's stunning. Like the picture in the frame is not so much my style. It's very tropical. And I think that I would like to change the color of the picture. Now, I only paid $39 for this. It's ginormous. This would cost me a fortune if I were to go into the store and buy it. I'm gonna try to mimic the frame that we picked up on a thrifting adventure another time and do like a black in the middle and then gold on the outside. And then I'm not sure that this matte will work for us. So we're gonna try to make this work for us. And I have got to try and flip this over, I just realized, because we are gonna need to disassemble this. Okay, so we're gonna need to get like a razor and cut this open because we do need to disassemble. So I've got a chisel and I've got some like little wire cutters. So here we go, we'll see what we can do. All right, I think we did it. I feel it like coming undone. Let's see, is it gonna catch on anything? This one, oh. I just broke the glass. Wow, that is not awesome because I wasn't planning on removing it. I guess I'm planning on removing it now. I can't believe I did that, you guys. Oh my heck. I think I tugged too hard and now I have a big piece of broken glass. Maybe it was meant to destined to break. I don't know, because I just broke it again. This could be dangerous. I don't want to cut myself, so I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to go throw this straight in the trash. Now, this is hanging on by a thread on this little table, this makeshift table that I've got. We gotta flip it around. I feel like I'm cheese. All right, we're using black satin paint. Oh, I need my She-Vader mask. Okay, here we go. This is so not graceful. Okay, we're gonna paint the whole thing. You'll notice that I paid extra attention to the center because this is the part that we are going to leave black. And I did kind of lighter dusting here, and that's because we're gonna make these gold like our other frame that we did. And then, so it didn't need to be quite as saturated. So we are gonna just let this dry, and then we will kind of tape it off and come back in with like rub and buff in gold and do that. The frame was beautiful before, but I really love this direction that we're taking it in. Now it's time to pull back the tape and see our beautiful work. I absolutely love it. So I decided to design something with a little bit more meaning behind it. So it's a little bit more attractive too. I created this artwork of two swans kind of touching their heads to kind of form a heart. It's really sweet, with other swans in the background. And when I was designing it, I really wanted it to be reminiscent of The Notebook. One of my favorite movies of all time. And did you know that swans actually mate for life? Which is why I jokingly told my husband one day, "You're my swan." After I designed that, I let him know he was my swan. So I'm cheesy like that. And so this piece ended up feeling really special to me. So once I designed this, I decided to print it out on canvas this time instead of printing it on regular photo paper. I feel like that size of frame deserved something a little bit higher quality. However, I found a really good source on Amazon that is really affordable. It does take like a couple weeks for you to get your print, but it's worth the wait because it comes on canvas and the price is really, really affordable. So I ordered this several weeks ago and it was finally time to frame it. So I started by trimming off the top because I thought it would be nice to kind of have something to line it up with. I didn't end up sticking with that because I ended up realizing that my backing was a little bit shorter, and if I was going to cut anything off, it needed to be off of the top instead of the bottom. Whatever. So what I did is I just took the cardboard piece that was already with the frame and I took it outside because this stuff is really sticky and it was a little windy and it got a little nuts. This is not gonna work. Okay, it's a bit windy, obviously, so I pulled it in between this little protected area here. I just didn't want to get spray glue on my patio, but we'll just try to be careful because otherwise it's gonna blow away. So I pulled it in a little bit and then I took some spray adhesive and sprayed the cardboard. And this is actually okay because in order for like the spray adhesive to work, it needs like a minute to set up. I quickly then took it inside so we weren't fighting any winds that might creep up and whack us in the face. And then I tried to center it up, and you will be able to move it around a little bit, but then you just want to make sure it's all smoothed out in the end. And this actually holds it really, really good. So once I had it on our board, I took scissors and cut off the excess, and then it was time to throw it in the frame. It was super easy, like it just plops it back in, and it was meant for this frame because like there's blacks in it, there's warm golds, and that just really tied it all together. And this artwork is always for over my china hutch, and maybe one point I will hang it on the wall, but for now I just kind of sat it on top of the china hutch. And I had a couple of these camellia roses. I'm not sure. I ordered these for my outside. I had them out on my back patio and decided I would bring them in and have it flanked because I really felt like it needed some kind of botanical or something on either side of it. And I may do some boxwood or some like topiaries. I found some like olive topiaries that I think would be really pretty. What do you think I should put on either side? Or do you like the roses that I ended up putting? Now it looks like a large custom canvas artwork. I'm super thrilled with how it looks, and every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, my husband's my swan. And yeah, anyways. And if you love this design, the swan print, I've made the digital file available on my website. For the first week after this video goes live, it will be available at a special discounted price. So pop on over, I'll link that in the description box below. You know, art becomes so much more meaningful when it tells a story, and the beautiful thing about creating your own artwork is that your home slowly becomes filled with pieces that reflect your life, your memories, and your heart. Up next, we're gonna call this textile art, which is timeless and it's trending right now. If you watched my design trend video that I did a few weeks ago, I shared some textile art in that, and it's very expensive. Like, we're talking these textile art pieces run hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So we're gonna try to get that look for way less. We started with a thrift store frame with a parrot picture inside. So the artwork wasn't really my style, but the frame and the mat were perfect. So instead of traditional art, I found some fabric. In fact, I found just like a remnant piece at Hobby Lobby. Look at this. Isn't that so beautiful? It has like this woven texture that almost gives like that rug vibe that we're going for. And it's just beautiful, and the rich colors and all of that. So all I did was cut the fabric to size, and then I taped it to the mat, put it back in the frame. That's it. Seriously, it was so easy. Literally took less than 5 minutes, and it instantly looks like something curated from a high-end boutique. And what I love about this idea is how customizable it is. You can choose fabrics that reflect the colors, textures, and personality of your home. And you can even create a series of them, cutting different sections of them. So it looks like it was collected in the gallery. So like you could do like this section and then a different section, and they all look like a series. And by the way, if you love this fabric, it is available at Hobby Lobby right now. So I think it looks super beautiful framed. One of my favorite decorating secrets is that texture creates luxury. When you layer materials like fabric, wood, and metal into a space, it instantly makes a room feel collected, warm, and designer inspired. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break from today's project. I just wanted to share something that I've been incorporating into my daily routine. Biologica. I've always taken supplements. What stood out to me about Biologica is that it's formulated specifically for women's hormones at different stages of life. Our hormones change throughout our life, and so should our supplements. Biologica makes 3 formulas: primary essentials for women in their cycling years, midlife essentials for perimenopause, and post-menopause essentials for women 50 plus. What I really appreciate is that each formula includes clinically studied ingredients at the actual doses used in research, not just trace amounts. It comes in individual packets that you just mix in with water, and it fizzes. It becomes one intentional step in the morning rather than multiple separate supplements. Now, I personally prefer the cranberry lemonade flavor. So that's the one that I am going to be keeping stock. If you're not sure which formula aligns with where you're at hormonally, they have a quick life stage quiz at biologica.com that helps you figure it out. And you can save up to 32% per month when you subscribe. Just use my link in the description box or scan the QR code on the screen. And now let's get back to the projects. Up next, we are doing a dupe project because I always love a good dupe, and this one I think you're really gonna love. So the next project was inspired by a designer piece from Ballard Designs that I really, really loved. It's a beautiful shadow box with like a gold 3-dimensional flower in the center. But instead of buying it, I thought, I wonder if I could recreate that look myself. But let's be honest, I'm always wondering that. Always. And I got so lucky. I found this shadow box at Hobby Lobby, and it already even had like the side glass panels, like the structure of it was like so perfect, and it created that same shadow effect. It was slightly damaged, which meant I got it for a great price. I think they marked it down to $18.99 and it was originally $24.99. Now, I was like hoping they would knock a little bit more off the price, but hey, it was an easy fix for me. So I mean, literally just needed some new screws and I saved a couple of bucks. Out of all of the projects, this one is gonna be the most time consuming. However, it's still super, super easy. The real time suck was just taping off that glass. So I had to like tape off the inside, the outside, just to make sure that we didn't damage the glass. And I lightly applied gold leaf rub and buff to it. So, and around the edges, I kind of like was a little bit like sparser, and in the centers, it was a little bit more intense, like our inspiration piece. First thing that I needed to do was find those flowers. Now I thought about getting silks, but I'm like, once those are painted, they might look like painted flowers, you know what I mean? I quickly realized that I could use outdoor metal flowers, which right now are easy to come by. And so I went into the garden section at Hobby Lobby. You could do this at any craft store and maybe even Walmart, I don't know, but they have a lot of metal flower pieces. Now, it didn't really matter what the color was because we're gonna paint it. And I decided to go with a poppy because it looked the closest and the most classy. Most of the other ones I was finding were like daisies and things like that. And this one needed to feel a little bit more sophisticated. However, I love daisies, don't get me wrong, but I felt like this was the closest match. So I started with my 18 karat gold Krylon spray paint, and I started on the back. So I sprayed the back, let that fully dry. Then I flipped them over and sprayed the front. And you'll see here in a second that I only used the one. This is what it looked like. And I think this looks so classy, right? I love that. Anyways, then we went inside to work on the shadow box. Okay, so the one thing about Rub and Buff that I love is that it dries like pretty instantaneous, and it's like such a beautiful saturated color. I've tried a lot of different other waxes and things, and I feel like Rub and Buff gets me the best finish, and that's why I go with it. And like I said, I use the gold leaf, which matches the spray paint pretty closely as well. Okay, so then there's like a linen back on the shadow box with, it had pins in it and everything. And so I thought about like all the different ways I could get that black effect, and I didn't want to go buy anything, and I thought I had some stuff and I didn't. I thought I had some of that black foam board that you can get like at Dollar Tree and in my stash, but I couldn't find it. And so then I was going around and I realized I had this pill and stick wallpaper that has this really cool like slate-like finish or like soapstone look. And I'm like, well, maybe that will work. So I was questioning myself as I did this, but I applied it directly to the linen cloth at first. I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't gonna work, but not so quickly that I hadn't already hot glued our flower inside of it on top of the wallpaper. And so I flipped it up and I could see that the weight of the metal flower was gonna pull it away. So I went and found another random piece of cardboard, cut it down to size and stuck it onto that. And then I put like dab of hot glue on each one of the corners and put that into place. But I figured that if it was that black foam board that you can get, it's really solid, and if you cut it big enough that it's nice and snug in it, you could get away with that. However, if you were going to use the foam board, I would recommend painting over it so it doesn't look like foam board but has a little bit more texture to it. But I loved the texture on this wallpaper. I think that added a whole bunch of dimension, and that was it. This one's a little bit interesting to film because I think the inspiration one did not have glass on the front, and I could have taken off the glass door, but then it would have left some divots where the hinges were. And so I just decided to keep it on. And I think this looks so close to the original. Now the only difference is the original is like 6 by 12 and mine was 12 by 12. So usually when you're duping something, it ends up smaller. In our case, it ended up bigger. And it, like the end price of ours was like $22 or $23 versus the $99 for the designer one. And maybe you could even find a shadow box or something for less money at a thrift store that would work. But this one was so cool because it was just like the side light panels and everything. It was just such a good close match. To me, the finished result looks almost identical to the inspiration piece, but even better. It's completely custom. Sometimes decorating isn't about copying something, it's about being inspired by it and creating your own version. And honestly, those pieces often become the ones we love the most. And if you've stuck around this long, I would be so grateful if you hit that subscribe button. A big majority of you who watch my channel have not subscribed, and it really does help my channel. And so I would appreciate it if you did that. And for those of you who already have, thank you. Up next, we're calling this one the wallpaper sample art. So this next idea might be the easiest DIY in this whole video. I ordered several wallpaper mural samples for a bathroom makeover that I'll be starting soon. A little spoiler alert, the sample I use is not the sample that I'm going with. But when the samples arrived, I thought to myself, these are too pretty to waste. Why can't we turn this into something? All of the samples that I got were peel and stick wallpaper, so they just peeled and stick. So I got a frame at Hobby Lobby on sale. It was $12, love the frame. You could even find something at the thrift store. I'm a huge fan of thrift stores. However, we used to have like a thrift store that was like 10 or 15 minutes away. And now like the closest thrift store to me is like easily 25 minutes, like bare minimum. Come on, send some thrift stores closer to me. Like, you gotta be kidding me. It's a little harder for me to get to the thrift store, so I just ran to Hobby Lobby and got this frame, and it was cute. And if I change my mind, I can always peel it off. But literally, just peel it on, stick it to the back. Like, make sure you have it framed out the way you want, like what piece of the section you want. And then I just took a straight edge blade and cut off any excess, and that was it. Literally a 2-minute project, and just like that, it became a beautiful framed artwork. The that I like actually. And as much as I liked the print that was in the Hobby Lobby one, I think I like this one a little bit better. I think sometimes we can forget that beautiful things don't have to be complicated. Even the smallest creative decisions can transform a space. Next up, arched frame digital print. So this last project uses this arch frame that I found at HomeGoods in the last episode when I was searching for anthropology inspired stuff. I really love the frame shape, and I think it was meant to be like for pictures, but I thought let's put some art inside instead. So I designed another digital print that will be available on my website, and I printed it at Walgreens. And again, I will put that on a special price for the week following this going live. And this is super easy as well. I just took the glass out, placed it over the print, traced the arch, cut off the arch, put it all back in the frame. So easy. And the result is such a classic, elegant piece of wall art. Now I'm displaying it on like a table and not on the wall, but it could definitely go on the wall too and look so beautiful. This print is also available on my website, so if you'd like to recreate this look in your own home, you can get it there. I love how this looks. It looks so classy in that gold frame with the greens and obviously I'm liking kind of nature inspired art pieces right now that yeah, I just love it, and I think it's so beautiful, and I hope you like it too. But you can take this concept and do it with a print that you like. And they do have lots of arched frames right now. I've noticed they're easy to come by, and you can find them at Ross, you can find them at HomeGoods, places like that at a very good price. You know, one of the things that I love most about DIY is that it reminds us of something really powerful. We are more creative than we think. Sometimes we walk into a store and it feels like beautiful homes belong to someone else, someone with a bigger budget or more design experience. But the truth is, a beautiful home is created one small idea at a time. A thrift store frame, a piece of fabric, a wallpaper sample. Those simple things become something extraordinary when your creativity touches them. And before you know it, your home starts filling up with pieces that didn't come from a store, they came from you. And there's something incredibly special about living in a space that reflects your imagination, your creativity, and your story. And before we go, I want to say thank you again to Biologica for partnering with me on today's episode. You can find more information about them in the link below. Now, if you enjoyed these easy DIY wall art ideas that look expensive, I think you'll like this video right here as well. And in the meantime, I just want to remind you that you are powerful. We'll see you next time. Bye.